Yeah, they said the creek was quiet until I showed up with the flash. Now it bubbles like a cauldron full of chaos and sass. Flip the switch, boom, spores light the night. I'm that mad mycologist, cooking dynamite. Roll up in the lab coat, looking like a villain. Petri dish, pimping every strain I'm killing. Got that mycelium feeling spreading in the ceiling. Dr. Salary and sermon got the culture kneeling. Moon pearl shimmer while the flask gets hot. MCM, baby, we the cream of the crop. I mix oats and sawdust, make that block ignite. Fun guy fireworks, call it Friday night. I'm a spore bomb lighting up the scene. Grow bags popping like a fever dream. Got jars on the table, culture's clean. Dr. Silurian cooking up that green. Mossy Creek, that's dynamite. Spreading spores till the stars take flight. Call the lab, tell them brace for blight. Cause I'm blowing up the world with my mycelial might.
What's up, person? Whoever you are. We're going to allow some people to jump on. Oh, persons all of a sudden. Oh, dang, that jumped quick. Well, we have Facebook and YouTube going. So I'm wondering how big a crowd we get tonight. I did not schedule this yesterday, though, like I meant to. So this is kind of an impromptu stream. I only had about 30 minutes beforehand. We have a mentorship going on this week. They're actually out there right now, still working with Samantha, working the bagger. And so I have been a little caught up in handling a lot of stuff Samantha normally handles while she teaches, and then teaching. Today was my main day teaching. So, oh, that reminds me. There's one more thing I want Samantha to do really quick while I'm on the live stream. What's up, Yanni? Slides. Yanni slides. Not much up today. Looks like we're still building an audience. And I'm rolling a little cigar. I want a cigar today. I don't normally get one this early or whatnot, but I'm going to treat myself today and have one during the stream. So I'm just going to do a quick Q&A today. I've been teaching all day, so I'm a little on the tired side, but I still wanted to make sure that I got out the weekly cast. So make sure that I got out to you guys. It's dark here already with the time change. It's like straight up dark outside. And that is not my favorite for the days at 6 o'clock to already be dark like this. Well, real quick, while we're building up people still and waiting on the Q&A sesh to start. Looks like what? Looks like Winnie the Pooh fell out behind you. Are you talking about the jacket? That's funny. Oh, with the red shirt, it totally looks like Winnie the Pooh, like straight up passed out back there. I never would have made that connection without you. Say, hey, Teddy, stop it. Psst, Teddy, stop chewing. He's probably need another anti-itch bite. We got these anti-itch bites that help him out with his allergies. I feel like it's definitely a cigar kind of day. Yeah, it is. Man, I'm a little bit tired. It's been a good day. It's been a really good day. I spent most of the day in the lab teaching the mentorship, and this morning just kind of before then trying to get caffeinated. Also just not slept well this week. This week's been, my allergies have been acting up, and I woke up about 3 o'clock in the morning and just was snot and like choking. So I woke up, took some allergy medication, and then had to sit up for, I don't know, an hour or so, wait for it to kick in, because every time I laid back, it just feel like I was choking. But the allergies are strong this time of year. 1 second. I'll be right back. Be right back. I forgot to get the spore prints set up with the mentorship. So real quick before they leave, I wanted Samantha to set up spore prints for our mushroom breeding section tomorrow. So we got mushroom breeding and then grow room work. We did most of the lab work today. So also, just so y'all know, we have, I think, 2 spots left in my basics course that we're doing on the 22nd. I think there's only 2 spots left. Let me check that real quick before I tell you a lie. And of course, if you're watching this not live, yeah, I got 2 in stock. So, we'll share screen and find where that's at. So you can see right here, we got 2 left in stock for the basics course. And then last week, I announced the liquid culture deep dive, and we still have we only had 4 people sign up for that so far. But that's in December, on December 13th. So I expect that as we get closer, that'll fill up pretty quick. So make sure that you guys get your seat saved if you are interested, especially for that basics. We will do another basics course probably January or February. But I don't know yet. I'm still planning my year out for next year for the mentorships. I know that the in-person mentorships, I've got one this week, one next week, and one the week after. And then I think that will probably be my last in-person mentorship, maybe even next year. So I may not even do them next year. We'll see. But the we'll be doing a lot more of the digital mentorships for sure. I might still do the occasion. I probably will do lab mentorships, but I'm probably going to shut down like the grow. We'll see. But I think that the digital ones will be an easier use of my time. Loving the gnome vibes. Talking about the mushrooms and stuff, or do I look like a gnome with the flannel and stuff? Or do I look small because my camera's up high? But either way, I appreciate it, Christian. Appreciate it a lot. I, too, enjoy gnomes. And he says, fruiting chamber attempt. Chamber attempt, 68 degrees. Humidity at 90%. And CO2 released through exhaust vent when number goes above 600. Pin sets are not fully pinning everywhere. First flush, 1.3 pounds. What am I doing wrong? Well, how big is your block? Because 1.3 pounds off like a 5-pound block would be pretty decent. If it's a 10-pound block, then yeah, you're going to want double that. You want at least 2 pounds. Let's see, your fruiting temperature is 68. I'd probably lower that down to about 65 if you can. And you're at 10 pounds. Okay. Your humidity's at 90%. You need to swing that if you can. So you have, like I like to have a 65% bottom and a 90 to 95% top. So swinging your humidity will probably help some of that. And then as far as like your CO2, if you can turn your fan to where, if you can turn your fan to where it's a little bit constant, a little bit more fresh air probably wouldn't hurt, but just real low. You don't necessarily want your vents on timers or the CO2 setting exactly. I mean, though 600 is pretty good. 600's about what native CO2 levels are here. So I mean, I can never get below 600 here. No, you look like Hacker. That's what everyone tells me. I always hear that. Gotcha, the mushrooms. Yeah, you said it's 10 pounds. So yeah, you should be getting a 2 pound to 2.5 pound flush pretty easily with something like a mortgage lifter and good nutrition. You know, some of these things you should get 3.5 2.5 to 3 pounds. I mean, I do have strains that will produce close to a 4-pound mushroom occasionally, but it's not the normal thing. Andrew was wondering if Wampus Tongue is on back order or something. Been waiting for it for a few weeks. It has been for the spawn. Liquid culture shouldn't be, Miro. So I would just make sure you send Samantha an email. I know that where it's a mentorship week, we're actually a couple of days behind on emails, but I would check that. 65% moisture, 65% oak, 35% oats. Okay. Try beefing up your supplement a little bit and lowering your moisture to 60%. So do something like try a 50-50 mix and see if that works for you and see if that beefs anything up. I don't know what your strain is or anything like that, but do I would probably try beefing up a supplement. So you can go to soy or oat hulls and get a cheaper supplement and beef that up, lower your moisture content a little bit and see how that works for you. 65-35 will grow about anything. But sometimes you can add a little bit more nitrogen to get something. No gypsum. No gypsum in your blocks. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't put gypsum in mine either, but that could change based on, like, we get a lot of lime in our water, so we have really hard water. Hey, Andrew, good to see you on stream again. My lion's mane is growing with a pink tint and softer texture. I've grown lion's mane outside of grow tent, and it grows perfect. So that could be strain dependent. Certain strains, I think it's a species thing actually, but certain strains seem like they will just grow with a pink tint, especially in cooler weather. So if your weather has gotten cooler or something like that, a lot of times it'll grow like that. Some lion's mane will grow in pink at first, then turn white, and some will not. And I'm thinking that lion's mane is much more of like a colloquial. I mean, it is a colloquial term, but it's more of a where there's probably a few species represented in the lion's mane complex, we'll call it. So, but pink is normal. Pink is definitely a fairly normal thing early in the process. If you see it, some strains will keep it until they start developing teeth, especially in the cold. Again, the cold will definitely work with that. Blue oysters, yeah, that still doesn't tell me what strain it is. Did you get my blue oyster strain? Did you get a blue oyster strain from like a different company? I don't know. When somebody just listed as a blue oyster, blue oysters is, again, it's like a complex. There's a whole bunch of different strains in that. So some strains are just not good producers, and some are better producers, and some are excellent, like almost even what we would call mortgage lifters, strains that are so productive they'll pay off your house. Don't feel bad, my dude. I meant it as a compliment. Some people say I look like a troll. I don't take any. No, I took no offense, man. I'm absolutely. Or the dude from the Goonies. There's that. No, I don't take any offense. Hagrid's one of my favorite characters. I'd love to be Hagrid. Are you kidding me? He gets to keep he keeps all the animals and the speeders, all the spiders and stuff. I love Hagrid. I take it as a huge compliment. Oh, let me grab my fan. Note, I do not condone smoking, but it's 10 minutes past the original, so. Water is run off a 3-stage filter because the water here in Vegas. Oh, that's right, Johnny in Vegas. My bad. Didn't make that connection till now. Water in Vegas is extremely hard and full of chlorine. Yeah, I mean, ours is too. So if you got filtered water, try adding more nitrogen. See if that works for you. Nitrogen's a magic molecule when it comes to cultivation. Hello, all from Badger County Mushrooms in Washington State. Finally caught a live. Keep this in the way. Hey, man, glad to have you on. Good to see you here. Just to let you know, it's a low-key one tonight. It's low-key and going to be quick. I've got a mentorship in this week, so I'm just kind of on for a little bit. I've been talking for a while today, so I don't even know if my voice will handle it for a super long time. And as I said earlier in the stream, it's a cigar night, so I rolled a cigar or a little cigarillo, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, but just to have a little something. But I'm glad that you made it on. I was supposed to get a copy and forgot to badger him about it because I was wanting to get one and then have him on as a guest. And I need to set my guests back up. Now that I'm back to a regular Thursday thing, I also need to get it set up to where Samantha can be, which actually she probably could be, as long as our sound wouldn't interfere with each other. Maybe if we're both on headsets, we could probably be in the same room. But I want to make sure that she can get on here too. But we can definitely try to get Gordon on here. Like we had him scheduled, and then I had to cancel it. But I haven't. Where's he got a new one? Because it was about a year ago when I was going to have him on. Hagrid's a G. Oh yeah, Hagrid's awesome, man. There's a reason why Dumbledore likes him so much. If I reply to an automated order email, will Samantha say yes? She will. Or do I have to email a different email? She'll stream, just not sure how to reach you at this time. Yeah, anytime you have questions about orders, please feel free to email us. You can reply to your order email, and then it'll come straight to us. Samantha will be the one normally that gets to it, but I try to cover her for sure. Oh, I still need to get Aaron on. I haven't even reached out to him. He's not reached out to me or anything. We need to probably do it because I've heard that he's willing to, but I've always heard it from someone else, and I need to get on there and have him on. I think he's got a bigger channel than me, though, too. I think I'm probably small fries compared to him, but I would love to have him on. And honestly, I've been thinking that he and I are probably a match made in heaven on some things because he does so much foraging, and I do the mycologium. And so it would be real. And I have my strain tester network that I need to actually email and get the second batch out to. But I think it would be something really cool to be able to work with Aaron on that, because I think that he could probably send in a lot of samples, and we could then get that off for DNA testing and online naturalist, right? And then he can provide he probably already does provide, but so much citizen science. And then we can try to back those genetics up and then get those in people's hands, which I am way behind on my Patreon. I got 3 weeks of mentorships. And then after that, like I said, I'm not doing any more mentorships. We'll be doing the digital classes. We're going to significantly expand our LC over the early part of next year, our LC options on the website. And then we'll probably, we're bringing spawn down to a smaller portion of the business. Just because it's a logistical nightmare. So we'll offer like a blue oyster and pink oyster, or, we'll offer an option, but it'll be whatever we've got in stock kind of thing. And then from there, I'm going to have a lot more time to actually work on getting all these rewards out and doing everything else. The Patreon rewards, get more of the live streams, classes. I've not been doing my Discord talks, though. It's going to be wintertime. That's usually when I do them, that kind of stuff. I'm growing mushrooms at home in a grow tent in the basement, and sometimes I'm congested for like a month. Then I'm finding it comes back. Could it be oyster spores escaping the tent? Yep. That sounds a lot like the spore lung or the oyster flu. What would happen for me when I had it in my farm in the basement, you need negative pressure constantly. If you don't have negative pressure, then you've got spores going back. They're escaping the tents. You need a negative pressure grow room. Constantly. And that's why I don't like stuff shutting on and off, like timers for people that are working in their house. You want the air just ever so gently moving one direction so that the spores are always pulled away from your living quarters. But what would happen to me is I'd go downstairs, I'd start working in my farm like without a mask like an idiot. And I'd be in there, and then I would start getting sick, and it would be like a bad flu, really congested or a horrible cold. But I would eventually got to the point where I had fevers and chills, like my joints would ache. It felt like a straight up flu. And then I would stop working because I'm sick, right? And I'd start feeling amazing again within a few days. And then I'd go back to work and I'd immediately get the flu again. And it didn't take long before we figured out that, I have now not worn a mask and I've developed a horrendous sensitivity to the spores. So that absolutely could be it. Slowly, but it is definitely is definitely, she's been working on it. I see it because I see the notes we share, note projects and stuff. But I see her working on it. But it is definitely something she works in her free time, and I've not been giving her a lot of free time lately. We have been slammed with all the life obligations. October is a month of birthdays for us, and then of course November. The first 3 weeks we've got mentorships, so we're she's working on it, and I really want to get her some more time so she can really focus on it. But he is willing. I asked him personally. Okay, yeah. I couldn't remember who it was. I knew that somebody had, but I would love to. I'd love to have him on. It'd be pretty easy to set up, I think, because we can just, do it in here. It doesn't have to be like my old setup exactly. If I can get Samantha on her laptop with a headset, and we could, all three of us, just talk. Even if it's the two of us. Samantha doesn't actually like being on camera that much. She did it for me and she did it for y'all. She has, I think, been happy being off the off the camera. I do. I upload iNaturalist. I think I'm Mossy Creek Mushrooms. Let me check real quick. So am I iNaturalist? I am Mossy_Creek. Yep, Mossy Creek. So just posted, this is from 3 weeks ago, but the phone does not really show up well on that camera, but the Rosy Conch, I actually have a whole bunch of stuff from my Cumberland Mountain trip I need to still upload here on iNaturalist, but I have 230 observations right now. I'm trying to get where I've got even more. I got a buddy reading Dune right now, and he's like, I told him that it's good, and he's like, "So when does this book get good?" So it's just, Dune is not made for everybody, I guess. Well, my naturalist, I was just looking at some of that stuff. My fans are on a timer to try and bring up the humidity. I guess they need a better humidifier or less powerful fans. Yeah, I mean, you should have a speed controller on your fans, hopefully, and you can carry it way, way down. So you can absolutely do that. Well, first of all, I need to learn how to. I've got to figure out how to contact him. If I don't even know how to contact him right now, unless it's just through his channel, or maybe his website. But yeah, I'll try to set it up for soon. I mean, I do. These days I'm doing every Thursday evening, so it should be pretty easy just to give him a list of Thursdays and let him pick one. What are some types that don't drop a lot of spores to not mess with the mask? So for oysters, you're going to need something like a sporeless oyster. Our moon pearls doesn't even produce gill tissue. Moon pearls is on back order right now, though, so the LC is just now starting to ship. I had a problem with 2 bioreactors in a row before I finally got this one going. But now that I have it going, it is now being pulled and starting to ship. And then we had spawn of it, and we just expanded spawn today during the mentorship. That's actually, we were doing spawn to spawn with moon pearls to get that even more, because we were getting a lot of orders for the moon pearls. But what's with the hate about the golden oyster all of a sudden? So that comes from a study that was done. I'm only really familiar with one study. I don't hate golden oysters. I think they're kind of they're amazing if you have any sort of inflammatory issues. My understanding is that they're like the single best natural source for L-ergothioneine, which is supposed to be an anti-inflammatory from what I was reading. I'm not a health professional, so don't take that as gospel. But it's because people believe that it is uniquely changing the genetic diversity of the North America, basically. That it's an invasive that is lowering the amount of diversity because it's an aggressive invasive. I think that there's some context to that they're not taking into account. But at the same time, I think that the fear porn is strong enough that at this point, you're starting to see a lot of people really, what's the word? Basically, just get out there and announce that they're not growing golden oysters and stuff anymore. I think that if we're concerned about golden oysters, we need to also be concerned about white oysters and the brown oysters and the blue oysters, because blue oysters will breed with the tree oysters here in the States. If we're all growing the same white oyster or blue oyster, why is that not flattening the genetic diversity of all the white oysters out there, right? If we're spewing out just millions and billions of spores per farm of the white oyster, and it's getting out there and it's breeding, we're giving it an unfair advantage, then maybe it's not taking over any more spots than the oysters would already have, but it's certainly probably getting out there and mating with all the other native oysters that we have, thereby flattening the genetic diversity that we've got there. So we would have to be concerned about everything. We'd all have to just shut down. And I don't think that's the right answer either. I do think that there's some rightful concern about golden oysters, but also if you look at a map, if you overlay emerald ash borer activity and the destruction it's causing with the golden oyster activity, it lines up pretty well. So I think the emerald ash borer is creating an environment where the golden oysters are doing well. And I think as the emerald ash borer runs out of fuel, that the golden oysters will probably likewise run out of fuel as well. They'll probably just naturalize at that point. Now, that said, we are seeing a spread. I don't think that we can argue against that. But I think part of it's that golden oysters are flashy. And I think that golden oysters are just really flashy. You see them out in the woods and you go, see? But then when you look at the white oyster, how do you know that the white oyster deep down in its genetics isn't, just completely commercial genetics or half commercial genetics? You're not going to be able to tell by looking. And we're used to seeing the white oysters. We're used to seeing the blues. We're used to seeing the darker browns and things like that. So I don't really get into the fear of it. The golden oysters they provide the same niche that the other oysters do. The same things eat them that eat other oysters. It is a little bit more aggressive, but again, I don't think that that's necessarily just it by itself. I think there's a particular affinity that it has. I actually wonder if there's an affinity between the emerald ash borer and the golden oyster. If maybe it doesn't carry the golden oyster spores as it tunnels into wood, or there's a lot of context that we're just not taking into account. And for a single study to come out, I don't think it's wrong for people to act out of caution. If you don't want to grow golds, I'm not going to be mad at you for it. I just think that, that's that's kind of the way I look at it. In terms of kudzu, if you provide, kudzu doesn't grow in an environment like, kudzu doesn't like a lot of nitrogen in the soil. And so when we go through and we scrape all the soil besides interstates, then kudzu grows, and then it's affixing nitrogen. And then once you bring goats through, for instance, and they're nitrogen-rich droppings, and they eat the kudzu down, and they basically salt the earth for that kudzu. Then I think that you're looking at probably something very similar going on. It's gone. Maybe goldens are causing damage. We definitely know they're spreading. My naturalist listings for golden oysters, I think, are the first in Tennessee, period. But I've got 3 listings here, and they're all fairly local. So, there's I haven't seen those in all the years I've been out. I don't even remember seeing golden oysters as a kid, so there's definitely something going on there. But I've not seen them taken over. It's like a sighting here or a sighting there, and 2 of them have been on ash trees, so that were recently killed. I think that's part of it. I think that's a very large part of it. I got to step away for just a second, guys. Let's listen to a word from our sponsor for just a moment.
Introducing the future of mycology, Dr. Silurian's elixir of mycelial mastery. This isn't your average culture mix. It's a revolution in a packet, crafted for the dedicated cultivator seeking unparalleled growth. Experience the visual alchemy of this masterful brew. As you mix 10 grams with 500 milliliters of water, watch the solution transform into a rich, amber spectacle, the hallmark of a nutrient-dense sanctuary for your burgeoning mycelium. This is where vibrant color meets vibrant life, setting our elixir apart from the ordinary clear liquid cultures. Prepare to be captivated. Mix 10 grams of Dr. Silurian's elixir with 500 milliliters of water, add a stir bar for thorough integration, and sterilize the blend at 15 psi for 45 minutes. Once cooled, introduce your favorite culture into this perfectly prepared, nutrient-rich environment. Watch in awe as the elixir works its magic, unveiling a mycelial masterpiece before your eyes. Choose Dr. Silurian's Elixir of Mycelial Mastery for a mycological adventure that's as visually enchanting as it is potent.
Welcome back to my presence. Really quick, since we've gotten a few people in here since then, I just wanted to remind people that the class on the 22nd from Cultivation Basics, yeah, we only have 2 spots left. So get those while you have a chance. If you've taken a mentorship with me before, you probably don't need the basics course. But we do have the liquid culture deep dive class has been announced for December 13th. And I would love to see y'all there. But if you've already signed up for the cultivation basics course or you've taken a mentorship with me, message me for a 30% discount code for the liquid culture deep dive. So we'll be going over all kinds of stuff. But basically how to massively produce liquid culture, how to get that into a sellable format, how to produce it for cordyceps, automatic syringe puller, except, all that kind of stuff. So we'll be covering a lot of that in the deep dive. Hey, Jake, we were talking about you just the other day. I've been kind of concerned about you. But number 2, the one of our group of friends was like, hey, they showed us a video of Mongolia. And they're like, hey, you guys want to just all of us get together and move out to Mongolia? And I was like, well, that would be cool. However, Jake tells me it's no picnic, especially right now. So I thought that was pretty interesting that she brought that up immediately. From Minnesota. Welcome, Bread of Life. I appreciate having you here. Hello from East Tennessee. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we are having a record year for lobster mushrooms and Pacific golden chanterelle. What's growing where you are? Our year has actually been really good for weird things, but none of the normal things. I did not have a good chanterelles year. Neither did any of the hunters I know. Morels were abysmal. We've had a very strange, mild, very wet year, and I don't know. It's just not really. We've had a lot of diversity. I've had a really good year for Xylaria. I've had a very good year for reishi. I've had a very good year for turkey tail strains. Most one's bioprospecting, of course. I'm not doing commercial hunting. What else have I seen a lot of this year? I mean, we've done a lot of polypores, but I mean, polypores are common in this area no matter what, since they persist. And then did I mention Xylaria? I've gotten quite a few Xylarias, and I collect a lot of Xylarian strains. Green Elf Cup. For some reason, I've gotten a lot of Green Elf Cup strains going this year. So, yeah, I did clone a couple of chanterelles. I've not even seen lobsters in years here. They do grow here. I just, between the past 2 years, I've had 2 health crises. So which I'm doing a lot better now. But the health crises made it to where I've just not been out in the woods as much. We did go hunting a lot. I found a lot of jack-o'-lanterns, which is not what I want to find. And every year I go to Cumberland Mountain in the fall, the Cumberland Mountain Range, and we always find hen in the woods. Always find hen in the woods. I've gotten so many hen in the woods strains over the years from Cumberland Mountains, the Cumberland Mountain Plateau, Cumberland Plateau. but this year we didn't find a single one, not a single hen of the wood, not a single chicken in the woods. And that's really unusual. I never have that. We just had the most unusual year this year. So, do you think my autoclave is overkill for LC prep? We mean like to sterilize it? Because no, you should use an autoclave or a pressure cooker to do your liquid culture, unless you mean something else by the prep. But yeah, I don't know, just all of that kind of stuff. Like I use my 150 liter autoclave. I use that for LC all the time, especially when I'm doing like a 5-gallon bioreactor or one of my 10-liter reactors. My 5-liter reactor will fit into the All-American, but the 10-liter and the 5-gallon reactors that I use are definitely something I have to do in the 150 liter. But I'll fill those baskets full of quart jars and do my reactor about that. So. Hey, no worries. It seems a person disappeared. That is awesome. Well, good. You don't. Maybe that was not on accident. The person may have not disappeared on accident, we'll say. Because if he's doing it to you, he was doing it to everybody else, too. And, of course, I don't know what the authority structure in Mongolia is, or if there's like a lot of vigilante stuff, or if it's very much like the Wild West, or if you guys have a strong justice system, you know, that kind of thing. But I was definitely a little bit concerned because I know I've had stalkers from the YouTube channel. I've had people somehow find my address, which, I mean, I've got the shop address here, so people can stop in at the shop now whenever, but and do. But I've had people show up at my house at 3 o'clock in the morning, that kind of stuff from the channel. So, and I never knew how they found my address back then because I never posted my address. And they showed up at 3 o'clock in the morning, of all things, with a trunk full of Hen of the Woods wanting to sell it to me. And I'm like, are you a freaking crackhead? I don't understand. Like, do it tomorrow and call me first or email me or anything. But I met them at the door with a shotgun, and they did not like that. They did not like that at all. But I don't like people showing up at my house unannounced at 3 o'clock in the morning. So don't do that if you know that. But I don't get the big deal about chicken of the woods. I do not find it very palatable. You may have just had sulfurious because a lot of people, some people can taste sulfuric compounds more. And so some chicken of the woods, especially the yellow belly kind, is sulfurious. But you also have the Cincinnatus, and the Cincinnatus doesn't have all that same flavor. But I'll be honest, I'm not I'll be frank, I'm always honest, but I'll be frank with you here. The chicken of the woods is far inferior to hen of the woods, in my opinion. But there are some really good strains with good texture, but it's not my favorite. Hen of the woods is far superior. Shiitake is far superior. Most of the gourmets we grow are probably far superior. In the beginning, using my autoclave, I was breaking some jars because I was releasing manually, and since I've learned you need to let the pressure release by itself and the jars don't break. Yeah, I mean, also, you can just turn it off and let it cool slow. That's what I would do. Are you doing it in the All-American? Or are you doing it like in a Presto or the 150? Because the like the 150 automated ones, because they'll self-burp. Excuse me. Hey, what's up, William? Andrew, I need to get to JC to meet you in person, but since July, everything went to crap. Wife's cancer came back after 5 years, past mid-August. We were married 46 years. She loved the mushrooms. You're talking about her in past tense. Does that mean she passed away? Man, I really hate to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. But yeah, I mean, come on down. We're open Monday through Friday. And I'd love to have you here, but I'm sorry everything's gone to crap, man. I know how that is. The past 2 years has been really rough on me personally, and thereby hard on Samantha because she really had to do everything by herself, especially when I was on oxygen for 6 months. I had a hard time even doing lab work because the alcohol would irritate me so bad with the long COVID. But yeah, I really, really hate to hear that, Mr. Campbell. You have my condolences. Howdy, y'all. Howdy, Andrew and Mossy team. What's up, Marshall? Glad to have you on. Glad to see everybody. Wow, I don't normally have even 3 people on Facebook. I normally just do it to Facebook because I know people like to go back and watch it. And I know Rose will often get on there, and she seems to prefer the Facebook. But Bonsai 150. Oh, okay. Let me think about that for just a second. Okay, so I think Bonsai sells the same model that I have, that I get from SH Scientific. And the you shouldn't have to manually burp those at all. They should all automatically burp. What I do is I turn there's a setting you can do as well where it'll automatically hold pressure when it's done cooking instead of just automatically releasing it. And that helps a lot. But mine, for some reason, I got one of the early models and it didn't work very well. So we set an alarm and then I just go when the autoclave's done and I turn it off. So we just flip the switch and then it holds pressure until the next day. And when I turn it back on, it'll release the pressure. So, Kyle says, sorry to hear that, William, sorry for your loss. Yeah, that's what, it got me a little bit worried there talking in past tense. What's up, Mr. Green Fingers? Glad to have you on, man. Cheers. The, oh, Squanchy's here. Come here, Squanch. Kiki. You want to come up here? He'll come, he paws at me. This is Squanch. Oh, we're not getting back on. Okay, well, then why did you want up here? Or act like you did? That was a mean thing to do. The autoclave has been such a good investment in terms of time saved. They are lifesavers. They are, absolutely. And nowadays, the price has come down on them. Even the Korean models are like $1,200 or $2,500 tops for the 150s. And, I mean, plus a fairly small delivery fee. But, yeah, they're fantastic. What's the strain we're smoking today? We're smoking pipe tobacco, rolled up in a cigar. There's nothing special about it. I just didn't want to get my pipe out. I would have to go leave to do that, and I wanted a little cigar today. You missed it earlier where Falcor and I were talking about today is just a cigar kind of day. I don't normally smoke much or on stream, but today is just one of those days where my allergies are bothering me really bad, and for some reason smoking seems to kind of dry up my sinuses. And it's just, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit tired and stuff, and it's a nice little pick me up. So this whole time I thought you were smoking weed and wondering how you were getting away with it. No, no, I'm not. Not on stream. No. It's just Captain Black pipe tobacco. So I just buy it by the 10 and then go through it a little bit. And primarily in the spring and the fall, especially during mosquito season, I'll get it up there and smoke a pipe on the porch and stuff. And it keeps the mosquitoes away and comfortable, and I don't breathe it into my lungs, so I don't have to worry too much about damaging my lungs further. Do still have to worry about all the other health concerns, but a ginger cat. Son says all gingers share one brain cell. They do act differently sometimes. He's a little a-hole, man. That's why I call him Squanchy. It's after a character named Squanchy on Rick and Morty, which is this ginger cat, humanoid cat character who at one moment is super chill, and then he drinks his little potion, and then he basically Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde's himself into this roid monster, and that's exactly what this little cat does. One moment he's chill, and the next moment he's a little terror. But cats don't normally take up with me, and for some reason, he is my little shop kitty. Wherever I go, he follows me around. If I'm down in the spalt shop, because we're moving ahead pretty seriously on spalting these days, and he like last night, or not last night, the other night I had him. My parents, I was giving him a tour, and I showed my dad the wood shop because he and I are going to be doing some wood projects together. And he was up in the rafters before, like, we didn't even know it until like stuff started kind of raining down a little bit, and he was making some noise. But yeah, he's a little unholy terror. He's a good cat though. He's a mouser too. He's an excellent mouser. And that's the most important part, because this warehouse, where it's next to all these fields and forests and stuff, it's a mouse attractor. The pick of your conifer coral looks awesome. How do they taste? Well, they taste like pretty much any other Hericium, honestly. They grow really well on pine pellets. I combined well and pine. They grow really well on pine pellets, and the conifer coral, I like it because it branches. It's got a really good texture. It's pretty unique. It's not hard like the Hamlin Beach comb tooth, and it's not soft like a lion's mane, but it is. You can take that conifer coral and kind of pull it apart into a bunch of little pieces, and it goes really well like in soup beans and things like that. Like I love it that way. But yeah, it's best use, I think, because it will grow in hardwoods too. But I think its best use is that it grows exceedingly well on pine. But on pine pellets, I've noticed almost everything grows on pine pellets just fine. I'd like to try the conifer coral on more just like raw pine sawdust, but I don't have a lot of access to that. My cats are all fat, lazy. They couldn't catch a dead mouse. Yeah, I've got a few like that. Or a couple like that, I should say, that are really not the best hunters. But Splotchy stays in the office, and I feel like maybe she's not actually my cat. She's my son's cat, and he's going to be taking her when they move into their new place. But she stays here at the office until then, and she is lazy and fat. So welcome, Kumaro. I believe that you previously mentioned doing plant tissue culture. Why do that compared to taking cuttings or growing from seed? So for one thing, it's nice to be able to have a little cup, like a deli cup, and have like 1,000 little plantlets growing in it. The ability to take a really rare chili pepper that may only produce like 6 seeds in a pod, and put that seed in a multiplication medium and have 1,000 little plantlets from fall to winter to spring, and then that spring be able to divide those up. It allows you to take a really high value chili or something like that and really, but that's just small potatoes compared to like a lot of the other stuff. There's a lot of things like, obviously the cannabis industry is the one that seems to attract the most attention, but there's people doing rare cacti, rare plants. I'm working with ramps, and I want to work with ginseng at some point, but there's a lot of that. There's also aquarium culture plants that people like to do. Anything that suffers a lot from some sort of pest really benefits from the plant tissue culture because it's grown in a sterile way. When you're doing cuttings, seeds are actually really good. I actually have taken something from plant tissue culture, which is washing seeds with an alcohol, bleach, and then sterile water solution, and then soaking it in the sterile water, and then casting those into a sterile medium for something that might be a little finicky, getting the larger plants, and then introducing mycorrhizal mushrooms to it, or not mushrooms, mycorrhizal fungi to it. All of that kind of stuff are things that the reason why I kind of gravitates a little bit towards plant tissue culture. I don't think it's right for everything. I've done it with tomatoes this past year. It's nice and fun because they're super easy, and the tomatoes were good to learn on. But really what you want is like rare plants to beef them up. It is a cloning process, so it's not a lot of genetic diversity. But again, the biggest thing I'm using it for right now is a bunch of the rare chili peppers. I bought the seeds in. I germinated them on agar. I transplanted them. I grew them out. I saved as many of the peppers as I could, which is still a small amount of seed comparatively. And now I can take those seeds and I can do a bunch of cups with these and get some genetic diversity from the seed, but also get like 1,000 plants. Like one of the guys that did the plant tissue culture class that I did had like 2,000 to 3,000 plants per one of those 32-ounce deli cup kind of things, or maybe they were the 16-ounce. It was the same width as the 32. The same diameter, but I think it was the shorter, about half the size, which for my peppers, they took up the whole 32-ounce container. So I'm not sure why he only did it in the half ones, but for spalting, what are you primarily going for? Is it breeding to make the spalting process quicker, or I did a business case on it, but profits didn't make. Hey, psst, get off the table. You see what I mean by unholy terror? I think every live stream here lately, I'm just constantly going, get off the table. It's like they know I'm distracted. I did a business case on it, but profits didn't make sense compared to regular growing. Yeah, so case by case basis, still the best return I've seen for most people. The two best cases for commercial mushroom production. So if you want to work in fungi and you want to make money, the top two are probably oyster and Cordyceps militaris per square foot, and I think on the return, the crop velocity, so how quick a return you get. Cordyceps is a lot slower than the oysters. It's like twice as long, but the value is a lot higher per man hour put in. So you have a couple of different ways you can do a profit analysis. Some of it's by the man hour, some of it's so you're doing dollar attained by man hour put in, or dollar attained per square footage of a facility. But what you want to do is go through whatever your whatever resource you have in the least, and then basically work that out for your plan in the beginning. As far as spalting goes, I do think that you would have to do some space, but so this is not something I'm teaching right now, the spalting exactly, but I will tell you, most of what I'm doing is just trying to produce spalt. There's a lot of loss associated with it. There's a lot of foraging done with it, and controlled spalting is something that can be done, but I figured out a way to speed it up in part. I figured out a way to produce quality spalts, and now I'm just looking for the wood, a regular supply of fresh cut wood to do it. And I've talked to a couple of tree cutters today about it, and we're getting closer to getting that supply. We got just an Alaskan mill now to work with some slabs, that kind of thing. But really, we're really getting into the spalting for the finished product to begin with. Now, where I take it from there, it may be something that I teach and then try to supply the genetics for. It may be something that I try to teach woodworkers to do themselves. I don't really know yet. So it's kind of why I'm not talking about it a lot. It's because I still don't even know what direction I'm going in it for. And maybe I'll just stop at producing the product. Maybe producing knife scales will be it, or maybe slabs, or I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of stuff there's a lot of directions, and we're just not there yet. I'm just not sure yet why. This is one of those cases where Andrew interested. So Andrew not know why. When I was in college, I really got into breeding tomatoes after I read a book about home plant breeding to create new cultivars. It was fun, but I had to grow hundreds of plants to get the trait. Yeah, so this is, okay, going back to plant tissue culture. This is one of those things where, this is something I've been thinking on. You cross these pepper plants, right? Or tomato plants. And you find one you really like. There's also, in plant tissue culture, synthetic seeds. And it's a way to long-term store genetic clones, clonal tissue, for the long term. So I haven't made synthetic seeds yet, but I've learned how to make them, and I just haven't done it yet. It was part of that plant cell technology class I took. However, the idea that I can crossbreed a tomato or a pepper, grow out all those plants, oh my goodness, this is the one. I really like this one. I want to stabilize the genetics. While you're stabilizing the genetics, you could clone it out and literally grow thousands of them in cups and transplant them and bank them as synthetic seeds. And then the idea here would be it's a way to protect your genetics, right? Because you sell these clones out to everybody that you produce every year. You ship them all over the place. They transplant them out. But then when they try to grow them from seed, it's they're F1 hybrids or F2 hybrids. So they're going to get stuff that's kind of all over the place. They're not going to get the one that you've got. So it would be a way to protect your IP. that way, and then you could be stabilizing the genetics in the meantime. But a ton of time. Takes years, but it's so cool to create your own unique strain. Very rewarding. I agree. There's almost nothing that's quite as rewarding that to me. Maybe the only other thing is having children, which is basically, it's the same thing. Just I'm the active participant. But children are the only other thing I can think of that I get probably the same satisfaction and more than I get whenever I'm creating something new. Plus, it's weird. Like, it's odd, right? Like, it is odd because I like to see phenotypes. And we were discussing last night. Let's see, Collier's girlfriend was over here. Was it last night? Night before? Whatever. We were, and her brother, her twin brother, and we were discussing how they look a little bit alike, but not a lot. I mean, they're fraternal twins, obviously, since they're he and she and twins. But we were discussing how he was saying, her brother was saying how all my kids look like they're related to each other very strongly. But it's so interesting to me because all three of my kids have a very different and distinct phenotype. Collier is tall and lanky. Brody is short and stout, and Aislinn is somewhere in the middle. But we all do have the Sullivan nose, the nose from the Sullivan side of the family. So I don't know, just interesting. Corn for Coral looks like it'd be a good pick, fresh than bad. Yes, it is. It actually is. It's also really good torn apart and thrown into like a mess of soup beans with some ham bone and a little bit of ham off the leg there. It is fantastic. Conifer coral is really good. Can you talk about the potential health benefits / research people are looking to regarding various Xylaria species? I thought I saw something about it online the other day. Thanks, buddy. Great show. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that, but I don't actually know. I've not looked into the health benefits of Xylaria, but I will now. I've always been interested in the secondary metabolites as a spalting compound, but not so as a way of creating interesting organic patterns on wood. But I've not actually looked at it at all as far as health benefits. So I will look that up. I'll pull it up now. Let's see. Xylaria health benefits. So it says Xylaria mushrooms, particularly Xylaria nigripes, I don't know, nigripes, have potential health benefits including neuroprotective and tranquilizing effects due to high levels of neurotransmitter GABA, which can aid in sleep and mood. They also exhibit antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, with some studies suggesting benefits for skin health and protection against cellular damage. However, most research is still preliminary, and more human clinical trials are needed. I've been talking all day. I feel like I'm getting mixed up. Excuse me. Potential health benefits. I can pull this up while I'm reading, actually. Share screen. So, nervous system support may have tranquilizing effects and help with conditions like insomnia, anxiety, and depression. Rich source of gamma aminobutyric acid, GABA, a neurotransmitter that promotes relaxation and helps regulate sleep cycles. Studies have shown it can reduce sleep deprivation, induce memory impairment, and has a protective effect on nerve cells. Wow. Oh my goodness. This is all National Institute of Health stuff. Antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Contains compounds that scavenge free radicals and reduce oxidative damage, which may help protect against neurodegenerative diseases. And it shows anti-inflammatory activity that may be beneficial for various conditions. It's antioxidant and anti-aging properties. Did we just find the what is it? The something of life. It's antioxidant and anti-aging properties are being used in some cosmetic applications for skin nourishment. Okay, I'm glad that you brought this up. I'm definitely going to have to look into this. I did not even know that there were health benefits to Xylaria. So they're talking about health benefits of Xylaria, Samantha. I didn't even know there were any, but it's nervous system support, may have tranquilizing effects and help with conditions like insomnia, anxiety, and depression. Oh my gosh. Teddy can't help himself. That's super cool. Thanks, Steve. I'll definitely do a lot more research into that. Might explode though. What might explode? Oh, the conifer coral when deep fried. I've not seen it explode. It can soak up a lot of oil, so you have to cook it high heat. You got to cook it high heat to keep it from sucking up the oil. But also, if you battered it, I'd say that would help a lot with it. I've been collecting spalted wood from Vermont. Hardwoods, beautiful. Haven't done anything with them yet. Haven't yet tried to culture them yet either. Some of them are very easy to culture. Some are not. Some are slow. The Xylaria is one of the easiest ones. But to get the best spalt, you've really gotta tweak some things with it, because otherwise it'll just turn everything black, or it won't. It'll have just huge zones out. You guys heading out? All right. Have a good night, guys. Whichever way you want. Yeah. I don't mean as long as you don't mind being behind the camera. All right. Have a good night, guys. Yeah, Brady. You heading out? All right. Love you. Bye. Be very careful. Aislinn's coming? Okay. Then be especially careful. Yeah, the Xylaria, that will produce decent black lines, but you have to pair it up with some stuff to get it to produce the best stuff. How did you learn about the practical and theoretical stuff in regards to plant tissue culture? The superficial level stuff I've learned sounds super interesting, so I'm looking to learn more in depth. So I'll be teaching a class on it this coming year. I don't know when yet, but in the meantime, you can take one with plant tissue culture, or plant cell technology is who I took it with. If you will let me know, I can get you a discount code. It'll also give me a kickback, but because I am a rep with them these days, because I took that class in part. I'm part of their ambassador program. In fact, they just paid me my commissions today. But also for any media or anything else that you want, I really enjoyed the class. I thought it was really well and worth it. They did increase the cost since the last time I took it. But if you've got a business license, you can write it off. So it definitely works. But they talked about some stuff. Some of it is just me taking what they talked about and then running with it a little bit. I had told them I was doing it mainly with peppers. And they're like, why are you doing it with peppers? They're so easy to grow from seed. And I'm like, well, they are. But some of the most high value chilies only produce like 6 seeds in a pepper. And not all 6 of those are the best plant. But I can grow 25 seeds out. I can pick the very best plant, and then I can grow a bunch of them. And if I want to cross them with other chilies, then I can have 6 identical plants that I can breed I can cross all of those with the same genetics from another source. So that kind of thing. But some of that's just me going, well, this seems to be the way to do it. But part of it too is me going, I started playing around a while back with growing plants in sterile culture before I even knew about plant tissue culture, and was just growing them in agar in a sterile way, hoping to be able to pair up selected mycorrhizal fungi with them as a step to making, hopefully one day, like chanterelle trees, morels on apple trees, that kind of thing. That's where I learned it. But also, the more live streams I listen to, the more we seem alike. Whenever you talk about an interest, I find out something cool and interesting. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I do have an eclectic and wide range of interests. Part of it's the ADHD, and part of it is that I get told a lot that I need to focus on a thing. And I think that I am. I think the thing I'm going to focus on is I'm going to learn a bunch of stuff, and then I'm going to teach a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to do the classes, which allows me to experiment even more. And then whenever I get these experiments done, I can bring them out in the classes, and every class becomes better because between every class I'm experimenting. So that's my one pick, and it's so that I can keep being ADHD. Innovation brokerage. That is what I'm interested in. Very good. Thank you, Samantha. I like it when you smile like that. I even just listened to a live where you spoke about your love of milk. I consume 2 liters per day. I've always loved this. Yes, Brody and I will definitely drink a gallon a day at least between us. We go through 8 gallons a week, is what Samantha said. And some people in the family don't even drink milk. So I drink a big shake that's got milk in it. And yeah, as long as I've got dairy. Huh? I have a milk mutation? Oh, do I literally? Samantha looks. I mean, I know that I've got the gene where I like, but most Northern European. Oh yeah, yeah. Apparently, like I super produce. Was it lactase well into adulthood? Like a lot of people have that, but I do a lot more than other people. A lot of people, as they get older, have a harder time drinking milk, and I don't think that's going to be the case for me. Hey, finally catching you live! Woo! Catching me live. I'm having issues with my spawn bags. Ooh, bad. Inoculating with LC and sawdust spawn. It's not doing inoculating with LC into sawdust spawn. It's not doing even anything up. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hey, finally catching you live. Yay. I'm having issues with my spawn bags. No. Inoculating with LC and sawdust spawn, and it is not doing anything after a week. I use your recipe 50-50 hydrated to 50%. So you have oats. It's not just sawdust spawn. It's the super spawn. Let me think for a second. It's been over after a week. That's a good question. Samantha just asked, what is it? What is it that you're trying to inoculate? Oh, poor cigar is gone. Oh, everything good ends. I just finished my cigar. So I was saying, oh, sad day, everything good ends. Huh? No, it's not one of the ones from Alchemy. It's just I rolled some pipe tobacco. I didn't want to go grab my cigar box and have an actual cigar, so I just smoked pipe tobacco. It rolled up in paper. So, okay, 50-50-50 mix, and you're having a hard time seeing anything. The answer down here, oyster and lion's mane, blue oyster and lion's mane. So lion's mane should catch. In fact, you may actually have growth in lion's mane and not even see it yet. Do you have a good, is your sterility protocol good? Because if there's bacteria in your bag, you may not ever see growth. If your enzymatic profile's off a little bit, the LC may not take. If you use just like a dextrose and that's pretty much it, then it's going to have a harder time taking. But even then, when you do the 50-50-50 mix and you've got grain, usually the grain pocket should at least grow. But after a week, I don't know, I'd give it a few more days and see if anything comes of it. It might. Other than that, maybe increase your pressure cook time. Yeah, I thought the Xyleria stuff was pretty cool. Yeah, it absolutely is. I've always struggled with sleep issues anyways. So the fact that you just brought up Xyleria has... I wonder about the anxiety reduction, but then also the ability to help with insomnia. I've always struggled with insomnia. Marshall says, hi, Samantha. The plant cell tech guys are cool. They are, yeah. I actually really enjoyed them. I had some people, when I told them I was taking the plant cell tech, were just like kind of poo-pooed it. But I found it to be a very good class, especially for if you're just starting out. It's really what opened up my eyes to my digital class as well, because I was like, oh, I could do this for mushrooms pretty easily. I mean, I know all of this, all the basic stuff like this very, very easily. And then, what's his name? Francisco? It may not even be. It may not even start with an F for all I know. I can't remember his name all of a sudden. But he was a very good teacher. Very good teacher in hearing. I mean, he was self-taught a lot, kind of like I am with mushrooms. So it was a really neat little thing. I cultured some Xyleria a few years ago. It was slow, but it was also on some weird and slow dextrose plates I made, so I wasn't sure. Xyleria is normally not slow. Xyleria is normally very, very aggressive. I will say that it is pretty strain dependent, because I have some strains that are way less aggressive and some that are way more aggressive. But even the less aggressive ones are usually on par with oysters, and usually so that does sound weird to me. Now that could just be like Xylaria is not a monolith. Not all Xylaria are like each other. There are a lot of Xylaria species, and they all behave in very different ways. So, it's a very diverse, especially if you're pulling from the wild. You're going to get very diverse results. So maybe there is a slow strain, and that's the thing, right? Was we won't really know until you get it probably into a few more hands, kind of thing, and let other people try it in different systems. But if you made it on, I will say, if you made it on just dextrose plates, maybe try a higher nutrient mix, like try adding some nutritional yeast or some maltose, something that's got a little bit more oomph. Maybe even the spore kindler formula that we have. That may be a good way to go. That's a really highly nutrient mix. I have to be really careful because my Xylaria plates turn completely black on the high nutrient mix we make, the spore kindler formula. CD Heil says, I am loving my Thor bagger, back cracker, the bag cracker, and stir plate. Ben rocks. Ben does rock. Ben is a wondrous little tinkerer. And I say little tinkerer even though he is taller than me. But Ben's got a beautiful brain. That is for sure. Okay, back to the liquid culture. Maybe it could be my liquid culture. Maybe it's too old. Does it lose vitality after a while? It does. It does lose vitality after a while. It goes into stasis. Once it eats up all the nutrition, it goes into a state very much like stasis, to where it only, or like hibernation, brumation, that kind of thing, where it slows its metabolism way down, so that, and it only basically wakes up and just consumes a little piece of itself just to keep itself alive. And over time, it will eventually just completely, consume itself unto death. But if you have that, then like if it's old stuff like that, particularly if it's grown on like a single nutrient liquid culture, like a single sugar base, then it's not had a very diverse food for a very long time, and it's been sitting around for a very long time, probably without nutrition. So you gave it, my guess is, you gave it like soda water, or not soda water, soda, and then it went into hibernation, which is not the most nutritious path to go. That said, it could still be very much alive and well, and it just may need extra time to wake up. Sometimes when that happens, when I've got really old liquid culture, I'll dump it in a bag and I'll just keep that bag until I see growth of either a mold, or I smell it like through the filter patch and it stinks like bacteria, or I see mycelial growth. And sometimes it could take weeks for a liquid culture that's really been sitting around for a very long time. It's usually, if you're wanting to go into something like that, it's best to refresh your liquid culture if it's been sitting around a long time. So don't forget to like refresh it, then pull backup syringes, cap those off, and then use up your liquid culture quick. And then just use the backup syringes to start new liquid culture before you take it to spawn. 4 hours at 15 psi. It's a honey mix for your liquid culture or for your blocks. So that sounds for the blocks, that sounds like a reasonable amount of time. For your liquid culture, that sounds like it's probably too long. And it's a honey mix. So if it's just honey and water, then yeah, I would probably start adding something else to it, some sort of amino acid base or something that you can give it, something to give it a little extra oomph, some other nutrition than just sugar. So for the plant tissue culture stuff, besides disease resistance, is it best used for plants that produce few seeds? Interested in the use you mentioned for cannabis and rare cacti. So yeah, I mean disease. So there are crops like the tobacco mosaic virus, for instance. I think there's a fair amount of plant tissue culture in tobacco these days. Anything that you want to clone and you want large numbers of, it is really easy to produce. No, that's not Samantha in the ski mask. That's my son, Brody. They saw you putting that mask on, Brody, and they asked if you were coming to rob me. They saw you putting on that mask in the background, I guess, and they asked if somebody was about to rob me. But yeah, anything that you're going to want anything that grows slow, or so anything that you want massive amounts of a single set of genetics for, that's a really good way of plant tissue culture. Anything that has a ton of pests and you want away from those pests, that's one of the big reasons to use plant tissue culture. It is just a way. It's very much like taking mushroom culture. It's like you can take a small piece of tissue, a tiny piece of tissue, and you can grow 1,000,000 pounds of mushrooms off of it. You can take a small piece of plant tissue and grow 1,000,000 plants off of it. So that's one of the things that it's really, really good for. 4 hours, that's the most sterile thing on this planet. Well, not necessarily. If I'm using pine pellets in our autoclave, we cook for 6.5 hours at 15 psi. Pine takes so much longer to cook than the hardwoods do. If it's hardwoods, I only do like 2.5 to 3 hours. But 4 hours, 4 hours is even too low for me to do pine pellets. Now, also in my autoclave, I pack it really dense because to me, I'd rather get every bag in there and cook longer because passive time it costs a lot less than active time. So if I get 3 or 4 more bags out and I have to run it a couple more hours because I've got a denser biomass set in there, then that's fine with me because I can come in here and talk to you guys while it's cooking. Doesn't matter to me. You know, that kind of thing. Richard Finner. I did an experiment running your substrate recipe versus master's mix versus wheat and hardwood fuel pellets versus millet, hardwood fuel pellets, and more. Wheat and hardwood fuel pellets was a clear winner for me and what I've been using for about 3 months now. The wheat bran, if it's wheat bran or you mean wheat, whole wheat. Love you, buddy. Be careful. If you're talking about whole wheat, like wheat grain, I'm very interested in that. But yeah, wheat bran is one of the more potent supplements there is, and at one of the most reasonable prices. But it is, to me, one of the least easy to automate and mass produce. So Master's Mix is one of the easiest ones to automate and mass produce and scale. So is the whole oats and stuff. But if it's wheat bran, oh, you said whole wheat. I see that in the bottom. Yeah, that'd be just as easy to scale then. And yeah, wheat's a very nutritious grain. Very nutritious. For your oat mix, to get the oats properly hydrated, how much water per pound do you use? I've been eyeballing it so far, soaked then dry. So looking to get some pointers so I can standardize it more. So if it's the one that I currently use that I run through the bagger, it's just 50-50-50. I put, what is it for? 1.25 pounds of whole oats, 1.25 pounds of hardwood fuel pellets or pine pellets, either one, and then 2.5 pounds of water. And that I just bag it, let the sawdust swell up. Don't even let the grains even start to really begin soaking up the water. Just fold the bag up, throw it in the autoclave, and then let it force hydrate under heat and pressure. And that's the way that I work it. Have you grown mukitake? I was talking about that today. I have grown bags out of it, but I have not actually fruited it. By the time we got around to wanting to fruit it last season, I think it was too warm, so we just put them outside, and then I don't know what we did with them after that. But I have a couple of wild strains brought to me by Josiah Patterson of ET Fungi. He went to one of my honey holes while I was on oxygen. I asked him to go check that place out, and he brought me some Hericiums and a Mukitake strain, and I have that still, of course. So I'm about to plate it and then get it to spawn in the next week or so, and from there we're going to try to fruit it through the winter time because it does like cold. So it likes things to be quite cold. This one seems to be a bit grayish on the oats. That's common. I've seen for Mukitake, it produces gray and yellow. Looks like mycelium, but I'm so new at this, I'm not sure about that. So that I don't know. If it's the mycelium, like normally you see white mycelium grow, and then it'll gray splotch, and then yellow, these like little yellow digits, fingers, whatever, I don't know what you want to call them, kind of start growing all over the bag before it starts wanting to create the primordia, or maybe create the pins. I mean, if you're seeing gray, like fluffy white like mycelium looking stuff with gray on the top, it could be cobweb mold, especially if it grows fast. Wookie-Talkie's not a super fast grower. Several lives ago, I mentioned my old LC syringes freezing over. Sillies. I've managed to save 1 out of the 10 so far using LC. Any tips for trying to save, revive as many strains as possible? I mean, I can give you generalized tips. I don't really have a lot of experience trying to save, that type of mushroom. You want to give it something easy to eat, especially if you're worried that it's been stressed, like frozen completely. That will kill most of those, because most of those are tropicals and don't really have any sort of protections against, like they don't produce the little anti-freeze molecules that like blue oysters and stuff do. So, and I've seen blue oysters freeze solid and then thaw out and keep growing, but I doubt that you would see that with the tropical varieties there. The other side of it would be to, like I said, give it something easy to eat. You can try sterilized cardboard. That's pretty much just like lignin and cellulose, and you can put LC to it. But mold and bacteria don't do well on cardboard, so it gives you a little bit of a chance to see how that goes. You can do a sandwich method, which is to sterilize cardboard with like something nutritious in the middle, maybe a few grains or something like that. And then in the lab, you can peel it back, put your liquid culture right there on those grains, cover it back up with cardboard, and then try again. That's putting it on agar. Agar is probably one of the best things. If you think it may still be clean, like it's not been opened or anything, and it was clean before, you can try just putting it to more liquid culture. But a lot of times, from what I understand, those will not freeze and then survive. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're just already using LC. So that's about the best I can think of. You can try putting it in a good nutritious LC. And that's one of the big things is you want an easy to eat, nice and sterilized LC. Got plenty of amino acids, some vitamins and minerals. You can get all of this stuff in our elixir, but you can go through and put in certain amounts of vitamins and minerals, but amino acids, an easy to eat sugar like dextrose, but then I would probably combine that with a maltose. There are even easier to eat sugars. I think one of the easiest for fungi to eat is galactose. Am I right about that? Galactose? I think so. It's a fungal sugar. So that kind of thing, maybe. Yep. What's your agar recipe? I've been experimenting with DME, yeast, and Stamets dog food recipe. So I use our spore kindler formula. It is very similar to our liquid culture. The key difference being agar, of course. But you have the base recipe that I give out. It's not the one that I standardize on now. This is V2. Is 4 pounds dextrose, 3 pounds maltose, and I like the darker the maltose I can get, the better. And then 100 grams of a peptone, or about 120 grams of nutritional yeast if you can't get peptone. That's a good basic recipe right there. It's very nutritious. It should cover most of everything. If you want to get into individual vitamins and minerals and things like that, each one of those is responsible a lot of times for opening certain enzymatic pathways for like production of secondary metabolites. So think like alkaloids in the psyllies and things like that. Think spalting metabolites. Think arenacenes or hericinones for hericium, that kind of stuff. There are certain vitamins and minerals that you can get that will like tickle those responses. Basically it stresses the mycelium in just the right way to get the response that you want. But the Main thing is that base I was just talking about. If you follow that recipe of 4 pounds dextrose, 3 pounds maltose, and 100 grams of peptone, and I'm not really picky about your peptone. I prefer bacteriological peptone. It's my preference. But a lot of people tell me that they're having a hard time getting that. I usually just get mine on Amazon, honestly. But you can go to lab supply places. But there's also soy peptones. There's dairy peptones and some meat-based peptones and a bunch of other stuff. But let's say you can't even get that stuff. Nutritional yeast works. I would just use a little bit more of it, maybe 120 grams instead of 100 grams. Yeah, that was from earlier. I got you. How can I tell when the block is ready for fruiting? For the Mukataki, it would be fully grown in, and it will have disgusting yellow patches all over it. It's amazing to me how many mushrooms, chestnuts, black poplars, enokis, hen of the woods, even to me, they start shiitake can get really good and goopy and gross looking, even though it smells so good that there's no way for me to see it as gross. But when a lot of these blocks, as they get gross looking, that's when they're ready to fruit. Man, I wish these allergies would stop. But yeah, Mukataki will get. Do you remember the Mukataki when we tried to grow it last year and it had those little yellow fingers like all over the bag? Like that's it would do these big yellow patches with these long little clubs. I don't know. We never did fruit it. Yeah, photos. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll have to do a post on Instagram about it. Oh, my Mukataki's been so fast. Maybe it's mold. Yeah, if it's really fast, then it's probably mold. Sorry. Especially if it's getting a grayish tint to it. That sounds like it may be cobweb mold. What's up, Will? Brooks? Do you have any... oh, it was okay. Hold on. Read that. Do you have any out-of-the-ordinary tips for cloning turkey tails? Wasn't there a cool thing Trad Cotter did in his book? It's a little tricky getting the tissue with those little bastards. So, I don't know Trad Cotter's trick. I do have his book, but it's been a while since I picked it up. I do remember it being a really good book. I've been reading a lot of sci-fi and stuff right now. My way of getting turkey tail, there's two distinct things that I try to do. I almost never try to clone the fruit anymore because it's getting clean tissue from those is, it's annoying at best and sometimes impossible. But the best thing, and this is what's cool about this method, is this first method, is that you can oftentimes clone the turkey tail even if the turkey tail is too dried to normally collect. Take a big chunky foraging knife of some sort, belt knife, things like that. When you go to the turkey tail, you've got it growing on the wood, right? And it creates a bracket. So you got the log right here, you got your bracket growing, and then the shelf coming off. Take your knife and put it right behind that bracket and dig deep, as deep as you can, easily without hurting yourself. And then try to just split that mushroom out with a chunk of the wood behind it. And you can clone from that wood. You'll take it to the lab and you'll just break, lots of that wood is punky, and you can break it apart in the lab and select for tissue that wasn't exposed. And you can just clone wood directly to your agar. And you can do that even when the mushroom is way too dry or too past prime to attempt anything else with. Now, if I come across a prime one nowadays, I'll still do that method. But my favorite way nowadays is just to take good fresh turkey tail, throw it on some aluminum foil. You take your aluminum foil, you throw your turkey tail on it, take a marker. I do this with all mushrooms that I clone now, or that I spore print now. Put your spore print on there, and then you draw a marker, just a circle around it with your marker, and then you let it spore print for a few hours. You pull that off, let it dry in front of your flow hood, and then you just fold it up. And now, even if you can't see the spore print, that circle tells you where it's at. You can take a swab across it and run it to plate, inoculation loop, whatever you're using, scalpel, the back of a scalpel scrapes across aluminum foil, really nice. What's nice about the scalpel is that a lot of times you can flame sterilize it, cool it in agar, scrape it across like the backside, or even if you're using a number 11 blade, you can scrape that flat side across the aluminum foil, and then you take it and you just cut into the agar. on a couple of different dishes. And what you've done is you've now just laid spores in that trench that you just made. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The spore printing method is my favorite because then you get a good mix of different combinations of that same genetics. The wood is the other method, but those are the two I pretty much just go to now. I don't even really try to go for the tissue unless it's just a really thick turkey tail and it's easy. Because sometimes you can grab the bracket and peel, and it just kind of peels the top skin off the turkey tail, and you can scrape some tissue off that. But even that's more annoying now than just grabbing the wood. Hopefully that helps you. And if you do get some good turkey tail samples, please send them into the mycologium and trade them for something. I love me some turkey tail. We just planted turkey tail today doing liquid culture to bulk. We did turkey tail and xylaria straight to super spawn blocks. Andy, I can get some Melzer's reagent. You're going to have to remind me what Melzer's reagent is. Melzer's reagent for sale. First described by Czech mycologists who use it to highlight the ornamentation on the surface of basidiospores or iodine identification. Melzer's, Lugol's, or iodine for identification of white spored. Melzer's reagent is an iodine solution producing a blue-black amyloid reaction in some spores and parts of fungi. Interesting. Literally, there's a Google listing here for sale. Afkim Melzer reagent for mycology. Affigen. Regular price 100. Oh, that's AUD. Let me try shopping tab. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't seem like it's super easy. What's an iodine solution? I'd have to look at what it's made up to see. But is it? Why is it a controlled substance or just not widely available? Do they have a different name for it now? Let me see real quick. It's because chloral hydrate is a controlled substance. If you get it somewhere, you can mix. If you can get it somewhere, you can mix it yourself. Otherwise, check your local mushroom club has a way of obtaining it. You can order it from Germany, but the shipping cost will be pretty high. Best to order quite a bit and split the cost with other mycologists. This is the best thing I've been able to find right here. Right there is a Reddit subreddit on trying to obtain it or make it. So I don't know anything about Melzer's. I didn't even really know anything that was a thing. Thanks for the tips. Does that wood method give you pretty clean samples? I will totally send you some. Yeah, it does. That's the thing for me, that if I want to clone it, that's the best way to go. It's pretty clean, but like all things that you're doing from the wild when you're bioprospecting, the best thing to do is get it to plate, and as soon as you see growth, transfer that growth to a new plate as quickly as possible. You should just always make that a standard operating procedure, no matter what, because all it takes is for some mold to pop up and sporulate, and now that plate's so much harder to clean up. So even with methods that give pretty clean samples, never trust wild samples. Never trust wild samples. Best bet with Melzer's is to make it because it's a controlled substance. Yeah, that's what I didn't realize it was a controlled substance. Oh my goodness, guys! I want to get off here in a minute. It's been an hour and a half already. It's impossible to find. I had some that my old mycology professor gave me, but I ran out. Can you talk to him and see if he can get some more? Again, it does seem like making it, what they were saying, is going to be the easiest way. Thanks for that, Reddit. You're very welcome. Thanks, Steve. That explains why I can't find it, but it's pretty handy in the lab. Yeah, I'll have to check into that some more. I haven't really used it. When I use stains in the lab, I almost always just use food dyes. A lot of people say that you can't use them, but they work really well. I do have gram staining kits that I use as well, and I've had a lot of people tell me that a lot of the gram stains won't work for mycelium and spores, but it works just fine. I don't know. It's weird why people say things that turn out to just be so blatantly false. I'm sure I'm guilty of it too. I've got horrible blind spots. I would ask him for more, but oh yeah, well, I understand that. My myco mentor, the guy that mentored me died. And he'd been dead about a year before I found out, which made me really, really sad. But old Hugh Brewer, he was a good one. A bunch of ash on my shirt. All right. Well, guys, it's been an hour and a half, and I've been teaching all day. So I appreciate you guys getting on here with me. Real quick before I do jump off, I want one more reminder that as far as I know, unless one of you guys has bought a class while we've been on, I only have 2 more spots left for the mushroom cultivation basics digital class that we're doing on the 22nd of November. And we have, let's see, okay, so the 22nd and then December 13th is the liquid culture deep dive. We just announced that. So that's still got a few spaces left. If you are signing up for the mushroom cultivation basics course, or you have done a mentorship with me in the past, and you want to do the liquid culture deep dive, because we are covering a bunch of like much more in-depth stuff than what we normally do during a basics course, contact me. And if you're signed up or have already done the mentorship, I've got a 30% coupon off for you so that you can save some money for that next class. And then, yeah, pretty soon we'll have next year, the whole class lineup for next year up with a year pass as well for the 12 classes that we're doing. And again, in the in-person mentorships are, looks like we're ending those this December, and we may offer a few. It'll be no more than 12, I can tell you that, in-person lab mentorships. But we won't be doing the full-on mentorships anymore with that. Though I will have ways for you to do those still. So just make sure to get with me on that. And then, is there any more news that I can think of? Can't think of anything else. If you're local to us, we have a wonderful CSA program going where you get mushrooms for as low as $10 a pound. And it's a wide variety of things. The people that got their boxes today got a shit ton of some of the biggest moon pearls we have ever seen. I had moon pearls this big around. So excellent for that. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Oh, okay. We got one more question. I'll do that. Question for you: for when you have time, my shiitake blocks start growing mold a little after the first flush. Is this normal? What's going on? That is very normal. You're probably growing your shiitake in a wetter environment than they need, though. Shiitake do really well with like soaking methods. Like the first time you flush them, and then you don't really need much humidity with shiitake. The first day or two that you open the bag up, you can a lot of times do a really heavy fog. But then after that, it would get progressively drier, and that keeps the mold away. You could also burn that mold off with a like a propane or butane torch. Do not burn your op down. Do not burn the plastic. You take that liability on yourself. I'm not telling you to burn the mold off. I'm just saying I've seen people do it, and I've done it myself. But if you burn down your op, don't blame me. But you can, a lot of times that mold is just surface growth and can be burninated. And then for the second and third flushes, sometimes you'll just get a little bit of mold on the block, and as long as it's not on your mushrooms, cut the mushrooms and go with that. So absolutely Eagle Nest. I'm glad I was able to help real quick before I jumped off. Y'all have a lovely evening. I've got a mentorship to do tomorrow and a full day since we're teaching mushroom breeding and grow room work. So y'all have a nice evening. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for making this a good time and for all the support you guys give us. Keep spawning culture, y'all. See you later.
Yeah, they said the creek was quiet until I showed up with the flash. Now it bubbles like a cauldron full of chaos and sass. Flip the switch, boom, spores light the night. I'm that mad mycologist, cooking dynamite. Roll up in the lab coat, looking like a villain. Petri dish, pimping every strain I'm killing. Got that mycelium feeling spreading in the ceiling. Dr. Salary and Sermon got the culture kneeling. Moon pearl shimmer while the flask gets hot. MCM, baby, we the cream of the crop. I mix oats and sawdust, make that block ignite. Fun guy fireworks, call it Friday night. I'm a spore bomb lighting up the scene. Grow bags popping like a fever dream. Got jars on the table, culture's clean. Dr. Silurian cooking up that green. Ooh. Mossy Creek, that's dynamite. Ooh. Spreading spores till the stars take flight. Ooh. Call the lab, tell them brace for blight. Cause I'm blowing up the world with mycelial might.